Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Van Hook, and we're going to let everybody stream in for the webinar. If you're here for a disaster resiliency, disaster preparedness webinar, you're in the right place. So just give it another minute. Okay, we can get started. My name is Brian Van Hook, and I'm Regional Director of the Small Business Development Center at Florida SBDC at FIU. On behalf of SBDC at FIU and the BizGap program, I'd like to welcome you to this webinar. This webinar is focused on disaster resiliency, disaster preparedness, and we're going to give you some real actionable tips to help your business be prepared for disasters, whether that's a hurricane, whether that's business interruption, construction, cybersecurity, all those type of things. So I would encourage you to put your information in the chat. Let us know who you are. And if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A so that we can answer those at the end. And then we will, just a bit of housekeeping, we will send you a copy of this presentation. And my colleague Jesus Padilla will also be putting some information in the chat during the webinar as well. That might be relevant to you, some upcoming webinars, some information, some resources. So be sure to be on the lookout for that in the chat. And without further ado, let's get into it. So as I mentioned, I'm Brian Van Hook. I'm with the Florida SBDC at FIU. I have over 18 years of disaster recovery business continuity experience. I've worked in Washington, D.C., both in the United States Senate and at the U.S. Department of Commerce, focusing on a lot of disasters that we've heard about, like Hurricane Katrina, the BP oil spill, Midwest tornadoes. And then here at Florida SBDC at FIU, obviously we work with a number of hurricanes, tropical storms, tropical impacts. We've also had Zika, we've had road construction, we've had Surfside collapse, and then also the pandemic that everybody went through. So we have a lot of really good experience and information to be able to give you for disaster preparedness. And then we're really proud that our team was the 2023 National Small Business Development Center of the Year. So I just want to shout out my team that does really great work on that. We're proud not just to be the best in Miami-Dade County, but also the best small business center in the whole country. So shout out to them. And then the good thing about our center is that we focus on one-on-one business consulting and training. And we are really impact focus on client outcomes for you. So we're really wanting to help you to get the loan, increase your revenue, get more customers, hire more people. We really want to help you to start and grow your business. A little bit about the BizGap program. The Business Growth and Acceleration Program was a program that we started in 2016. And it's focused on hyperlocal consulting, training, and outreach to businesses in particular communities and commercial corridors. And we really want to meet businesses where they are in the community. So we're out doing workshops at libraries, at community centers. We're out doing canvassing. We're also in webinars like we're in today. I'm in the air conditioning. But the project is also designed to give another tool in the toolkit for municipalities and communities that want to better assist their businesses. So it is kind of a win-win-win in that respect. In terms of some of the outcomes for BizGap, and obviously we've been increasing these numbers during BizGap right now, but we've connected with a lot of businesses, conducted a lot of trainings, increased revenues, access to capital. And then for this particular BizGap project, it is focused specifically on Florida's 27th Congressional District. It's a grant funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration. And that particular congressional district covers the city of Miami from downtown, Little Havana, to Key Biscayne, Coral Gables, goes all the way down to Kendall and then to Cutler Bay. There's over 86,000 businesses in that particular congressional district. If you're not in that congressional district, but you are Miami-Dade County, we can still help you. But we are focusing a lot of the consulting, training, and outreach in District 27. But we can, like I said, we can also assist businesses in Miami-Dade County as well, since it's a grant from the SBA. And then for BizGap in Florida 27, We're focused on training, outreach, and door-to-door canvassing, one-on-one business consulting, and then also conducting data mapping and surveys of the businesses that are located in that district. And the goal is to assist 1,000 businesses through the end of the year. We're well on our way, and just thanks to you guys for being in the webinar today because you're helping us with those particular deliverables. And then let's get in the presentation. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit, very briefly, about pandemic planning, because that is something we have to factor in whether we're in COVID or not. And then there's particular risk to your business, so we want to help you identify them, and then also identify operations and personnel that are going to be helping you with your recovery, and then just give you some really great resources and information to help you jumpstart your planning. Um, for me, when you're building a resilient business, that's a lot of different things. That's risk management, contingency planning, emergency preparedness, disaster recovery planning, and succession planning. So it's a couple of things. Like think about if you have a really key employee and they leave, or if somebody's like the owner of the business, and they pass away, do they have like a succession plan? Is there a continuity plan? But also just risk management day to day, focusing on your IT. That's a lot of different things to have a resilient business. And for us, like we always try to do, we meet you where you are. So some businesses want a full-blown, 50-page business continuity plan. Some businesses don't have time for that. Some businesses just want to put together an emergency contact list, a disaster checklist. They want to have, just some basic information. There's a lot of different resources that we can help you tailor for what you want to do. So whatever you do, you want to make sure that you're making those steps today to help your business for something that can happen tomorrow. When we talk about disaster, this is what you think about. This is the lower Ninth Ward. This is Hurricane Katrina. This is like a big hurricane impacted a whole community. But for a lot of businesses, they actually get caught and they get really hurt when there's things like this, like road construction. Like we're here in Miami-Dade County, there's always some road that's under construction. There's always some sidewalk. There's always some, telephone pole work they're doing, internet work, whatever. But some of this construction could only be for a couple of days and it ends up being like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. So that's really what impacts a lot of businesses are those things that you can't plan for. We call those business interruptions. So whenever you're talking about that, you really need to factor it in. So when we're talking about business continuity, at the end of the day, this just shows you the timeline that there is like a major big hurricane or disaster that's happening every couple of years. So you can't get complacent. You can't just lay back. You got to be more proactive on preparing your business. You see, it goes all the way back to 1992, Hurricane Andrew, all the way to Hurricane Ian. And then we've had some additional storms and things like that have come through. Think about, we just had some flooding that really impacted South Florida and Miami-Dade. So there's a lot of different disasters you need to look out for. And then when this is a lot of the facts and figures and the stats, but the one I really want to emphasize to you guys is that according to the Institute for Home and Business Safety, incidents can impact your business by lost productivity, customer confidence going down, decreased finances. For a particular business, that could cost about $3,000 a day. If you're Sony, if you're Target, if you're Walmart, if you're a big company, big chain, that's not a big deal to you. But for a small business, $3,000 a day is a big deal. So, and also we just really stress, don't rely just on insurance because insurance can't replace your customers, nor is it going to cover all losses. So you really want to be proactive and take some steps to prepare your business. And then, like we mentioned, there's the things on the left side that are more kind of general, like loss of trust, loss of reputation, loss of brand image. The stuff on the right, like loss of customers, them jacking up your insurance premiums, you lose any contracts, if you have any fines. Those are the type of things that really impact your business, both on the brand side and also on the financial side. And then I really would like to stress for you that business continuity can actually be good for your business. It can give you a competitive advantage. There are a number of businesses that really lean in on business continuity and disaster recovery. Home Depot, FedEx, a lot of those, they really focus on kind of being proactive, kind of planning ahead. And actually, they really lean in too to make that part of their brand for businesses that are looking to recover or businesses that want to have more efficiency. So you really could be known as one of those businesses that is on top of it, is prepared. If you're open, you're not going to lose customers to your competitors. And also, if you're getting federal contracts, local contracts, you're in the supply chain, and so you need to be able to show those folks that are like putting their faith in you that you're going to be able to deliver when good things happen or bad things happen. I do want to touch a minute on pandemics. I know that we've heard recently about COVID was kind of popping up, was brewing around again. I know it's not as strong as when, everything was hitting like in 2020, 2021, but you actually have to give strong consideration to your e-commerce and your direct-to-consumer sales if you haven't already, because of the pandemic. Because businesses that have these sales channels in place and the marketing budget really did see their sales skyrocket rather than if they were like a traditional brick and mortar business, they basically had to wait through all these shelter in place orders. So a lot of businesses now do need to factor in pandemic planning. Admittedly, when we would work on business continuity plans or other types of things, we would kind of glance over the pandemic. We're like, we haven't had a pandemic since like the 1920s. Like, you don't have to worry about that. Now that we've had it, you should keep it in mind. You should factor that in. And then also on the marketing side, just be aware that if you are doing marketing and it's kind of like one size fits all, that each locality, like each county or each city or each part of the state, might have different restrictions or different cases. So if you're running different ads, you might have to tailor it more for each particular area. So you want to be agile and be able to change any messages that you need to, so that it doesn't cost you any money or like delay your marketing. I would encourage you to check out the CDC website. They do have a lot of really good information for businesses related to pandemics. Also, now that we've been through the pandemic, one of the biggest things that we didn't know was what was the federal government going to do? What was the state government going to do? What was the county going to do? What was the individual cities? So the good thing is now they put a lot of that information on their website. It's been out there. So those are things that you can download now. You can get it on your computer, your laptop, in the cloud. You'll actually know the next time we have a pandemic, what are the rules of the road. And I always do include industry regulations because they had a lot of regulations for food related businesses, some other industries as well, like healthcare. Those are things that you can download. You can review it when it's not an emergency, it's not a disaster, and just be aware of it. And also just be aware that there is different guidance coming from the federal government, from the state of Florida, from Miami-Dade County, from different municipalities within Miami-Dade County. So you can download all that, you can have it, and then those are the rules of the road if and when we do have another major pandemic that comes up. So now that I got through that, I do want to talk about kind of non-pandemic planning. As we talked about, insurance is basically a partial solution. It can't replace your customers and can't cover all losses. The main challenge that we see with a lot of businesses is that they haven't shopped for insurance. Most of the time when you're going to the store, you're holding up, this product or that product, you're looking at, which one's better, which one costs less, which one's going to do the best for what you're looking for. You can do the same thing for insurance. Also, for your insurance company, you can get a free risk assessment, or you can just ask them some different questions. Your business changes over the years, so maybe your policy needs to change. Some common questions you can ask is what type of losses are excluded under your policy. It's kind of like that old commercial they used to have. You think you're covered for this, but actually you're only covered for that. Those are the type of questions you should ask because there might be things that you want to know about. You also want to know, is there any particular policies that might be particularly relevant to your business or your industry? Do you need a peak season endorsement on your inventory? Would you look into like a blanket policy? If you have multiple locations, would that be helpful? We actually do have a list of common questions to ask your insurance agent. And I know it's pretty good because actually one of our clients was saying that their insurance agent said, "Where did you get this? Who gave this to you?" So it actually was pretty helpful questions to be more aware, and also ask your insurance agent. So feel free to circle back with Jesus if you'd like a copy of that. And then, like we said, we talked about the business owner's policy. What's your deductible? How does it apply? Do you have a co-payment or co-insurance? And then just asking for information on the replacement cost versus the actual cash value for any like personal property or any building. These are some questions that we included. But we definitely have like a real good document we can send you if you're interested. And then I did include some links for different insurance resources, like from NFIB mostly. That's really where they have a lot of good information on the insurance side. So would encourage you to take a look at that when you get a copy of the presentation. And then on the risk side, you know your business better than anybody. You know your business better than me. You know your business, your employees, your location. So there's some key questions that you need to ask yourself. Have you done a risk assessment on what risks are more likely to threaten your business? You're not going to have a volcano hit your business. You're not going to have like one of those geysers from Yellowstone National Park. You may have a hurricane. You may have flooding. You may have heavy rains. So there are some things. You might have iguanas that might impact your business. There's more things that are more likely to impact your business here in South Florida than it would in another part of the country. If you identify what's more likely to happen, you can actually do tabletop exercises to test how your team can respond and go through some scenarios. Those are things that actually you have tabletop exercises that you can download from different agencies like FEMA, NFIB, like a bunch of other ones. We have some that we could share as well. Actually, for your team, you can make it fun. You can have some pizzas, just get everybody in on like a summer Friday or something and go through like a particular exercise and include everybody that needs to be involved on that exercise. It is a good way to talk it through. Um, One of the main things you can do is just do a visual inspection of your business. Just walk around, check out your equipment, check out the building, look on the roof, look for any leaks, any cracks, anything. Like we said, just reiterating, take some basic steps today so that you're better prepared for something that might happen down the road. In terms of your business, you need to think about what makes your business run. Like I said, who makes it run? Where does your business run? How does it run? Factor in some of your operations. What's critical operations? What's important? What is non-essential? Because when you have a disaster, you figure out pretty quick what is non-essential. You want to think about those like important or critical operations and functions, and you want to think about how long can you withstand an interruption of that? Is it 1 day, 24 hours? Is it 2 days, 48 hours? Is it 3 days? How long can you do that? What steps do you need to get in place to get that back up and running? For your business, there's supply chain. Obviously, upstream is your suppliers. You have you and your employees kind of in the middle, and then downstream is your customers. So when you're thinking about your business, I'm a big believer like your front line is your bottom line. So if you don't have employees, you can't run your business. It'll just be you trying to do the best you can. For your employees, you need to update the contact information for them. You need to update the emergency contacts. People have good life events, they get married. People have bad life events, they get divorced. Some people, their spouse, might pass away. You need to know some of those type of things because you need to have multiple areas to contact them in case there is a disaster. So you can see what's going on. You can basically identify where they are, that they're safe, and also get in touch with them about monitoring when your business is reopening. So you actually want to have, up-to-date information, email addresses, phone numbers, those type of things. You want to also have alternate means of communication. Some people use text chat groups. Some people use WhatsApp, Telegram. They have a lot of other things that they use too. Um, you want to identify any special skills that your team has, any certifications, any first aid training, CPR, military training that will come into play. Work with your employees and their personal disaster plans. When we talk about that, those are asking basic questions. Are they going to evacuate here in Miami? Are they going to go to Orlando? Are they going to go to another state? Do they have childcare concerns? So they have kids that they have to worry about. Is the uh, is the daycares open? Is the schools open? Do they have pets? If they have pets, they need to factor that in because they can't leave them. They need to factor in like a shelter that has that's pet friendly. And also, a lot of people here in South Florida stay because they have elderly relatives or elderly neighbors that they want to keep an eye on, they want to take care of. So you need to like factor all those things into the evacuation because you don't want your employees to get caught kind of last minute or late if they are going to evacuate. And then you really need to plan for you both your personal recovery and that of your team and your business recovery because you can't fully focus on the business recovery if people are worried about their houses, their pets, their kids, their relatives. So you really need to like have everything ready to go. So at some point your business recovery can begin. And then for your suppliers and your contractors, you want to have up to date information, a backup contact, a primary contact, have your account numbers. You want to have alternate suppliers, like if Georgia is one of your big suppliers and where they're located, if there's a tornado there, or if there's some kind of impact in Georgia, is there somebody you can get in Texas or somebody in Oregon or something like that? And then you also do want to have those active status with them by having regular orders. For customers, you really do need to figure out if there's a likelihood that customers are going to be present in your location. If a disaster happens, you would have to factor that into your planning. When a disaster happens, you want to keep your communications open with customers. If you're able to answer the phones, you would notify them of that. Obviously, check your email, check your website, check your social media. If there are internet or social media stories, if they're of interest to you, they're probably of interest to your customers. So you can share that. You'll build up that goodwill. They'll actually keep coming back to check your feed. Um, at the end of the day, you want to keep a copy of your customer records in the cloud or offsite if you're still using a physical copy. And then now, because of the pandemic, I think a lot of businesses have developed an alternate work site where people working remotely. So you do want to basically have that option so that they can kind of keep the business running if there's an impact to your physical location. And then we mentioned about other contacts. BAIL is the acronym. There's a couple of other acronyms you can use, but that's your bankers, your accountants, your insurance agents, and your lawyers. Everybody needs a banker, a lawyer, an insurance agent, or an accountant. So those are other folks to factor into your planning and into your contacts. For the business preparations, we do like the bag and box model, which is basically have a virtual or a physical box that includes your insurance policies, a lease, your inventory list, your payroll records, your bank statements, any tax returns, any receipts that you bought equipment or inventory or anything that's insured. And then, like we talked about, those employee lists, client list, vendor lists. I really would stress that to make that like virtual box. But if you're still old school and you want to have like a physical box that you can carry, at least it helps to have it in one place. And then for the immediate emergency side, a go bag is basically first aid kit, a cell phone charger, a battery operated radio, a fan. We're here in South Florida, bottled water, and then a flashlight and batteries. That's something that you can just grab really quick and just get out of there. If there's like an accident outside your business, if there's something going on, you can just grab it and get out of the location. And then relative to critical records, every business is different. So different records are different for every business. So you want to identify what you need for those critical functions, store them in the cloud, have multiple media formats because sometimes some files don't work with certain programs. You want to back it up because how good is it going to be if you save it, but it's 2 years old? You're not going to have up-to-date client information or like your client files or any other kind of stuff. You do want to test the backup systems to make sure that everything is like good. And then this is for when you're doing insurance claims or for SBA, is to have photographs of your inventory, your furnishings, your fixtures, your equipment, your building. You want to have that because they want to be able to show that it was in good working order, that there wasn't damage before the disaster. And then you have obviously photos you're going to take after to show the damage. So you want to have like the before and after on that. And then we talked about critical operations. It could be any of these things depending on your business, all the way from like payroll, insurance claims, um, communication, obviously your people, your team, utilities. So you want to identify what are those critical operations and when do you need those back up and running. I did want to throw in regulatory requirements. There are, depending on your industry and your business, there are particular regulatory requirements that you have. One of the most obvious ones or the most important ones is related to health insurance, like HIPAA. That's basically protections for personal health information. If you do work with personal health information, God bless you, because it is very, very strict, you have to be very careful with it, because they do have basic requirements around confidentiality, integrity, availability of the electronic versions of that PHI, personal health information. So you have to have like data security, you have to have basically business continuity standards, and some basic things is like backing it up, having a continuity plan or a data restoration protocols, and then emergency operations planning so that you can protect it. But be very, very careful if you do have that personal health information. There's been some huge fines, depending on how many files it is, where people leave like a backup in a car or a truck, or they're kind of loose with the protection and it does get out, because they charge you basically a fine based on how many files. And so at the end of the day, that is something that's really important to pay attention to. But like I said, depending on your industry, there are other industry requirements or regulatory requirements. So you just need to look it up. And then the good thing is, if you're looking to jumpstart your disaster planning, there's groups like us that can help you. We're not the only game in town. There are other organizations and there's other resources that can help you. But I would really make a pitch, like you don't have to have a detailed plan if you don't want to. You can do a mini business continuity plan or even a checklist to get things started. And then I did include some really good resources to kind of jumpstart. The city of Santa Monica in California has a good template if you do want one. The disastersafety.org also has some information for businesses. The Colorado SBDC has like a huge guide full of a lot of information that's really good, and you can pick out and kind of pick and choose what works best for your business. Related to apps, there is the Red Cross that has a bunch of them, like on finding the shelters, on first aid. FEMA has some good information from like National Weather Service alerts, different shelters and different features and things like that. Here in Miami-Dade County, they have Ready Miami-Dade. That is a mobile app. It's for residents and visitors to get information. They also include like evacuation centers, like storm surge information, that type of stuff. Gas Buddy, I think everybody knows Gas Buddy. We're all making the lines, looking for gas, trying to, find locations that were open and have gas. So it is a good one that you can sort it by like the price and how long it is, how far away it is. These are just a couple more like hurricane trackers and storm radar and things like that. And then on business resources for planning, ready.gov has a business section. The Florida Department of Emergency Management has information geared towards businesses. There is SBA information. And then also, like we mentioned, Miami-Dade County does have a hurricane guide you can load up. And then I will turn over to questions. If you do want to meet with one of our consultants, you can scan the QR code. Jesus will also send you the link for that, but we'd love to work with you under BizGap. And then I think that's it. So I'll answer any questions you guys have. Let's see. So any questions, Jesus?
You're good, Brian.
Okay. So I see that I was very efficient with the information. So I just want to thank you guys for being here. Jesus will send you guys a copy of this presentation. If we can help you in any way, please let us know. And we just really appreciate you guys taking a couple of steps to get prepared for hurricane season, or any other disasters that might happen. And just count on us if we can help you at all. And just thanks for joining this webinar under BizGap. Take care.